Hi everybody, it's Ann Katzif of Ask Design. Welcome. I'm talking today about the essentials of WordPress maintenance. I describe the series of essential tasks that I include in maintaining my client sites as well as my own site. I perform these tasks routinely at the end of each month. It's really important to keep your WordPress site updated so that it runs smoothly and is protected from hackers. WordPress software, themes, and plugins are in a constant state of change. New features are added, bugs are fixed, security holes are plugged, and without regular updating, your site becomes vulnerable to hackers who feast on security flaws. With a maintenance plan, your site is immunized and functions at an optimal level. Occasionally, something urgent will pop up that I need to address before the scheduled date for maintenance. A client may request a particular change or feature. There may be security issues or plugins that no longer work or plugin conflicts. For the most part, though, maintenance is about consistency and monitoring. Before doing any updates, back up the site, both the database and the files. There are several plugins that make easy work of this. Most are free and offer a paid version for upgraded and additional features like scheduled or incremental backups. These are the ones I recommend here. All-in-one migration is free as well as paid. I use Backup Buddy as my primary tool. It is a premium paid plugin. Duplicator is free and it has a pro paid version, and that's my second favorite tool. Sometimes Backup Buddy doesn't work, so I'll use Duplicator. Updraft Plus, WPDB Migrate, these are other tools that are terrific. Download the backups to your computer or a remote cloud backup area. So once the site is backed up, you can feel safe and secure about doing any updates. There are indicators for you when you log into WordPress. You'll see the updates link in the left administrative sidebar, and the red bubble adjacent to it indicates the number of updates. The toolbar at the top of each window also contains the same link, and it has the same number of updates indicated. You'll be brought to a page that lists everything that needs to be updated by clicking on either of these two links. So let's go and click there and see the quite extensive list of updates. So this is a development site that I have locally on my computer. And you can see it has 15 plugins. I kind of saved them up for this tutorial. And it has one theme to update. And back at the top, it shows that we need to update WordPress. Now, there are also links devoted solely to updates for the plugins and the themes. You can click on this just to see the list of plugins and the themes as well. Let me see where that is. I'm not finding it right now. Up under Appearance, Themes, it will just show you which theme needs to be updated right here. But I like the total list of things all in one place. So that's what I do. There's a particular sequence that I follow when I do the updates. I do the plugins first, and then the themes, and the last update that I do is WordPress itself. So sometimes a plugin may be abandoned. You can tell it's abandoned if it hasn't been updated in 1 or 2 years. So that's kind of a red flag for me. It's not always a red flag, but it does put a red flag in the back of my mind. I might need to replace that. It's just a security flaw in my way of thinking. Now with themes, before you update themes, you need to remember, have I created a child theme for this? Because once you update the theme, any customizations you have made might be lost. But with child themes, customizations are guarded when you update the parent theme. I have more details about that in a blog post about why and how you create child themes. So let's start with the plugins first. There's two approaches. One approach is to select all and then click the Update Plugins button, and WordPress will go through each plugin one by one and update it. If you're uncomfortable doing that, select all process, you can do a few at a time. Sometimes I do that. I might select one or two or three or four at a time and then update the ones that I've selected, check the front end, make sure everything's okay, do the next set of updates, etc. After I check everything and make sure things are working correctly, I move on to the themes section. And right now we only have one theme to update, so I'll just click Select All and update that theme as well. And again, after this update, go to the front end. I usually have two tabs, one for the back end, one for the front end, and make sure, things are looking okay on the front end. You have to refresh your screen and check it out. And finally, once all these are done, you can update your WordPress version. Once the updates are done, we can move on to checking other things like any kind of alerts that you might have. I mentioned earlier that maintenance is all about consistency and monitoring. Well, I use this plugin called WordFence that monitors the site. It can be configured to scan regularly to detect any unusual activity, such as attacks on the site, searches for vulnerabilities, login attempts, brute force, that sort of thing, suspicious and unknown files, changes in repository files, and malicious content or malware. When something is flagged, you have the option to repair, delete, or ignore the file. So this is the dashboard of the WordFence plugin. It tells you, kind of gives you a snippet of what's going on the site. The firewall shows you the top ITs that may have been blocked. You can do a manual scan while you're here. There are no issues right now for me to attend to. So it's a really good tool. It sometimes has false alerts, but for the most part, I find it really useful. And another plugin I use for backing up, I mentioned earlier, Backup Buddy. This also in the diagnostics section has a malware scan. So I often check both of those areas just to be doubly sure. Another kind of alert that I check for has to do with spam. Comment spam is inevitable with WordPress. Too much spam will hurt your site's reputation, affect its search engine ranking, and possibly inject harmful code. So preventing spam should be a priority. The best place to begin is in the discussion area of your website. So you go to the settings, down to the discussion area, and there are some settings that will help prevent spam. And one is in the comments settings. You must require that the author fill out name and email. And then this area here, I always have these things selected. Email me whenever anyone posts a comment and hold all comments for moderation. And before a comment appears, it must be manually approved. And I like to say that a comment author must have a previously approved comment. So that to me is another way to make sure that they're a real person, that it's not a robot. Nonetheless, some spam will leak through these settings, so it's useful to use a spam filter. Uh, there are many plugins out there. They generally mark the offending comment as spam and put it in the spam folder. And it depending on the settings, the comment will either immediately be discarded or placed in the spam folder. There are two plugins that I use that I would recommend. One is Anti-Spam B, and I really like that one. And another one is Akismet. I think Akismet is a paid plugin right now. So each month I check for spam. I check the spam folder, and if there's anything in there, I empty it. I want to circle back for a minute to just the plugins listing. This is what the plugins page will look like. If there are updates to be made, there is a new version of this anti-spam be available. You could update one by one, update now. But again, I like to go to that overall listing of things. It seems to go smoother and is a little bit simpler. Now, it is rare, but sometimes you will encounter problems. By doing each section separately, plugins, themes, WordPress, you'll be able to see problems as they arise. It will help you narrow down what the problem is. And sometimes a plugin is just incompatible with the theme or with another plugin, or maybe a theme is wonky after an update, or maybe the newest WordPress doesn't work well with a plugin. A lot of things can happen. So this is why you want to back up the site and have access to those backup files. You may need to return a plugin or a theme, or maybe even WordPress to its previous state. So to revert back to a previous state, you need access to your web host server, and then you can upload the plugin, the theme, or WordPress saved in your backup files. So there are two ways to access the server. One is to log into the web host account and navigate to the file directory. Usually this is done through what's called the cPanel. Or you can log into your web host's FTP server. Login credentials to the FTP server are through the web host account, so you'll have to get those login credentials. And sometimes that's a quicker method. You might also need to restore the previous database. With Backup Buddy, you can use the import buddy PHP script to restore the database, but otherwise you can do it manually. It's a little involved. Let me take you through it quickly. I'll probably write a blog post about this with more details, but basically you log into your web host account, navigate to the cPanel, and get to your PHP MyAdmin section. There I want you to first copy the current database just in case. So we'll copy it first by checking all and exporting, and you can save that to your local machine. I use custom options so that I can save the database as a zip archive, which is a compressed archive. Next, we want to delete this current database, and you go again to check all and instead of export, you click on drop. And then finally, you import the original database that you backed up in step 1 of this tutorial. So go to the Import tab. Down in the File to Import area, browse your computer, choose the file that you saved, find where it is. Once you have that selected, you click this button called Go. So again, you have to check the website, make sure what you did is working, and if it's not, you probably want to try it again. If worse comes to worse, you can call your web host and they probably can restore that database for you. Now, we've been talking about the routine monthly maintenance that I do, but I also do a few other things, maybe annually or biannually. And one is the database cleanup. I clean it up and I optimize it using the couple of plugins one is called WP Sweep, and the other is Simple Revisions Delete. Simple Revisions Delete provides me with more control in the revisions that I delete. The database is where all the content is stored, and over the course of a year, a lot of data accumulates. So it can slow down the site, and it's nice to clean it out and keep it running smoothly. It's like giving it an oil change. The next thing I do is I check the Google Analytics if they are in fact configured and running on the site. I just check for a few things. It's a fascinating collection of data with Google Analytics. It gives you insights into things like, basic content that is mostly of most interest to your viewers, SEO, your bounce rate, user demographics, user technology, that sort of thing. The Search Console I use in conjunction with Google Analytics. The console focuses more on search engine results and site traffic. It's, again, really good to see what's going on in both areas. You can submit a sitemap to your Search Console and check out what kind of keywords are people using to find things, what's the site speed like on the site. Google does send you alerts if anything is not working correctly, and you can go to Search Console and try to fix those things. The final thing that I do, maybe at the end of each year, the beginning of a new year, I do performance testing. I use one of Google Chrome developer tools' many features is Lighthouse. So you go to Developer Tools and click on the Lighthouse tab. It provides an in-depth audit on performance, accessibility, best practices, and SEO. As you can see, you can pick those categories either for mobile or desktop. And the report highlights any problematic areas and offers great guidance on remedies for improving the site performance. So that, my friends, is the end of my presentation about WordPress maintenance, the essentials. I hope it was useful to you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments area below, and have a great day. Thanks for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.